Hey, it's Annie Peguero. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited to share with you this week because it's my daughter's 7th birthday. And this is always a super special week. Like any of your kids' birthday weeks are always special weeks. And I particularly love this week because I birthed her. My husband was a huge support in our home water birth. He wasn't always on board with the fact that I wanted to do this and birth this way, but with some convincing, some science, some beautiful midwives, we birthed Autumn at home in a pool of water in our living room, and it was incredible. So incredibly powerful to see, what my body was capable of, just the incredible process of bringing a baby into the world. So you can watch the video. It's on my YouTube channel. And my YouTube is just Annie Peguero. And I'll link to it in the show notes. It's just our home water birth. I think that the video is called. So if you search Annie Peguero YouTube, you'll be able to see it. So this week's always, it's really important and in our life because we really honor the process that we went through. To have our girls. I had 5 pregnancies in 2 years, and I have 2 children. So I had 3 early pregnancy losses really, really quickly. And, I've talked with my girls about, the experience and, the children or babies that came before them, and also explain that, if those babies had made it, then they wouldn't be here with us. So we're thankful that things happened exactly the way that they did. And it's something that, I explained to my girls in a way that they can really wrap their heads around. And we discuss it over and over. Just making it part of our family. So this week, just a special week. Autumn turned 7, literally feels like yesterday. And I want to talk about something here in this podcast episode that I struggled with for many years, which is the urgency response, now that I'm in this line of work, mindset work and coaching, I have seen how much that was a trauma response for me, meaning that, I really felt that I needed to act urgently, act fast, always be productive, needed to be instantaneous escape type things because danger was imminent. And danger is subjective. Danger looks different for all people. And that's what we're going to get into today a little bit, talking about urgency, talking about that need to rush around, that feeling of like rapid heart rate when you are just, waiting in line and just feeling anxious or rushing around before a party or before people are coming over. Oh my gosh, I used to do that so much. And it wasn't until I realized what I was doing. I was like, right now I am acting as if I was responding to a law enforcement situation. I spent 9, almost 10 years in uniform patrol, and there's always a sense of urgency because it literally is a life or death situation most of the time when you get a call. And I carried that over for so long, many, many years into my life after I resigned from law enforcement. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Urgency, that response, that trauma response, that sense of urgency when there literally is no sense of urgency. Okay. So many of us do this. And, always my words here, these episodes are here to bring awareness, help you to bring awareness to yourself and your own actions, your own way of being, so that you can have a shift, not so I can, help you have a shift. So, through my words and my guidance, you can start becoming more aware of your own actions on the day-to-day, not just your actions, but your ways of being, your ways of thinking. So that's what we're talking about today, and let's get into it. All right, before we go there, I just want to thank you so much for listening. This podcast has been, since 2018. We're almost to 100 episodes, over 11,000 downloads, and it's always is like the thing, right? Like when I first started my business back in 2011, I was like, I want to have a podcast and I want to have an app. So I just want to thank you with my whole entire heart for being a listener, for downloading my podcasts on a weekly basis, and for just being here, for hiring me, for my coaching, and for my hypnosis, and all of the beautiful services that I share. You could find them all over on my website at anniepeguero.com. Okay, so this sense of urgency, let's first define it, define what it looks like, where it comes from, and then what you can do. And, whenever I say do, I frequently mean a mindset shift and awareness. And very rarely do I mean like some type of action. Maybe there'll be an action blended in, but oftentimes I'm thinking and referring to a way of thinking about it. So, what can you do if you notice this sense of urgency in your life and operations? So I'm going to use my own self as an example, like I frequently do. And I could use my clients, but I like to just talk about my own experience. So my own experience with this urgency response is what it would look like. Okay. So my husband and I, and like when Lily was a baby, so an itty bitty baby. So here we are, this couple with a new baby. And I can think of so many times we were living on Okinawa when Lily was born there, and then up until I think she was 15 months old. So we would go somewhere. Like we would go like to the beach, which was literally right outside our door, or go to dinner, or, wherever we were going. I would race around the house. And when I say race around the house, I mean, I walk super fast, panting, heart rate elevated, angry face, like yelling orders and commands at my husband type thing, and just acting as if I was in this really big hurry. And, my husband, Al didn't really say much to me about it at the time. I think he was just kind of like, whoa, like this is just hormones or postpartum or whatever. Like he didn't really know how to respond to it. And I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't know for several years. Like this was back in like 2013, 2014, just looking back on it. And it was such an anxiety response and a trauma response for me. Because if I think back to, like way back to my childhood, like why I was feeling this fear, this escape, that I had to get out of a situation right away. And for me, it was shame. It was an incredible feeling of shame, incredible feeling of not good enough, and just this feeling like I could never be what my parents wanted me to be, or their expectations of me, or just that I wasn't good enough. So I was constantly trying to rush around to get out of that feeling. Then, fast forward so many years, and in my law enforcement career, when this sense of urgency became just a way of being, like I had to rush to the things, or, insert like whatever could happen. Like maybe there was like an alarm going off, or a car accident, or somebody needed medical attention, or a person with a gun call. There was always that incredible sense of urgency. And what if I don't make it there on time? Like, what if I forget something important and I don't get there and they die, right? Or my coworker gets shot, or, like whatever it is, like the kid is missing, or the kid is abducted. I mean, so many things racing through my head, then taking me back to a childhood state where I was like, what if I'm not good enough? Like, what if I don't get this? So as you can see, and the reason I'm sharing my own personal story is because I know that you'll be able to see yourself in the stories that I share. Where are you rushing around? Where are you creating a sense of urgency where there is actually no sense of urgency at all? Like, you don't need to rush around at all. You're going to get there. You're not going to be late. And so what? What if you are 10 minutes late? Big friggin' deal, right? So this sense of urgency for me then carried on to when my children were really young. And it was, I can't even imagine what it was like for Al. I'll have to ask him. I haven't even asked him, but we should probably do an episode on that, because that was, huge, and also probably a giant, just another layer of contribution to how our marriage was really failing back in 2018, 2019. Yeah. So, this urgency response, like I said, it looked like me racing around the house, heart rate elevated, unable to speak, tunnel vision, dropping things, because I was the loss of fine motor skills, and going back to that trauma response of I had to escape. And it's really your reptilian brain protecting you. Like, we talk a lot about reptilian brain, and just going back to that brain of protection, like safety, and soon you're going to be eaten by a giant predator. Just our anxious brains going back to think that this threat is immediate. And it's when we go into that fight or flight state, it can present in a sense of urgency as the trauma response. So when you notice yourself doing this, so that's what it looks like. Maybe yours is not like, excuse me, to the degree that mine was, like all of those things that I described, but maybe you notice that you also have this sense of urgency when in fact there is no sense of urgent. Like, you don't need to be urgent. There's no need to rush around, and you notice yourself rushing around. If you Google this, it'll be like, what do I do? Okay, stop, take a deep breath, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's take it a step further. And, now that you've identified what it looks like, and you've identified why it happens, let's identify what you can do. Really just stop and ask yourself, like, is this an urgent situation? Just that awareness, just that stopping and saying, okay, I notice I'm rushing around right now. I am rushing around all over the house. I'm yelling at my kids. I'm feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm feeling like I'm going to be late when, it's not a big deal. We got to get the kids places on time, but it doesn't warrant that type of urgency and fear, anxiety, and all that other stuff that just feels not good. It just doesn't feel good for anyone. Your kids are like, why is mommy rushing around like that? What's going on? And my kids say that to me, especially my younger daughter. She'll say, why are you hurrying? Or why are you moving so fast? And I don't even realize I'm doing it. And I'll say, oh, you're right. Yes, thank you. Sometimes the little ones will kind of bring us back. So, what can you do? I always just ask myself, do I need to be in urgent mode right now? Do I need to be in urgent mode? And maybe I need to be moving quickly because we're trying to get somewhere on time. But do I need to exude that sense of urgency that is then turning into anxiety, is then becoming my trauma response to not good enoughness, or trauma response to needing to get out immediately because the threat is immediate? So just simply ask yourself, does my response that I am exhibiting right now, is this valid? Is this true? do I need to operate, that's like another law enforcement term, but do I need to operate in this manner right now? Do I need to conduct myself in this manner right now? And usually, you can ask yourself that, and the answer will come easily. It will flow, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, we need to get out the door, but I can take some breaths and get into the moment, come back into my body, and, get the things together and go. Or no, I do not need to rush around urgent right now. I can enjoy this process of gathering, packing our bags for our trip that's tomorrow, and enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of the packing, of, whatever it is. Enjoy the process of people coming to your home. You're lighting candles. You're putting things just right, how you want them. Just notice what type of energy you would like to put into, the vibe of the home, or the energy that you're packing into the bags of clothing that you're bringing on your trip. So thinking about, is this the energy that I want to create right now? And you have the ability to shift that very easily, very seamlessly, in a flow, in the moment. Okay, no, this is not the energy, and I'm going to take a cleansing breath. I'm like kind of wiping my hands like across myself, like through my body, and just doing a really quick like energy clear, like from my crown chakra, like all the way down through my body, through my chakra system, and just wiping it clean. Whoosh, just whoosh, wiping it all clean. And okay, coming back into the present, into my body, into this very safe place where I am right now. And I'm wanting to create a joyful experience, and not this sense of friggin' urgency, this trauma response that I know that I'm doing. And I don't need to do that, because if you're doing that, your children are going to do it. They're not going to know why they're doing it, but they're going to do it. And it just brings stress into the family unit, into the home. And if nobody's there, you're like, well, nobody sees me doing it. I'm there doing it myself. Well, it's creating an energy, an energetic vibration that I know that you are not intentionally trying to create. And, there's some really concrete reasons why we do this, and some things that we can do to mitigate that and to move past that are really, like so many of the things that I talk about here on this podcast, is just raising your awareness, raising that level of awareness, asking yourself some questions, and then proceeding from there, taking a couple deep cleansing breaths, swooshing the energy through your body, and then proceeding in a manner that you want to, the kind of energy that you want to create in that moment. So I know this was very helpful for you, because if I wish that I would have had this information years ago, OMG, do I wish I would have had this years ago? I mean, so much. So I know that you'll love this, and I know that you're going to be able to apply this when you're making dinner, when you're getting the kids ready for school, when you're like any of the times, places, things, all the time, right? And listen, this is not to say that, sometimes you need to hurry up, but that sense of urgency as a trauma response, as anxiety, in a sense of threat and escape and just anxiety. I'm just here to help you transform that into something joyful and productive for you and your family. So thank you so very much for listening. I loved sharing this. I feel like it's not talked about enough. I feel like there's a lot of, well, that's just how it is, and that's just how it's going to be type of thing. So whenever I can help you raise awareness, that's what I love to do. So if this was helpful for you, as I'm sure it was, please go over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a 5-star review, and also some words. Like a written review means so much over there on Apple Podcasts. podcast. And as always, you can hop over to my website at anniepeguero.com and opt in to my email list and get my emails and see all of the offerings that I have, especially my coaching program, which is called Soul Life. I'd love to see you in there. Send me a message about it. I'd love to chat with you about Soul Life and how I can really help you transform through hypnosis, overcoming self-sabotage, and finding yourself in your 40s. Thanks so much, and I'll talk with you next time.